Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
You ever imagined there would be a time where you could probably go back in the past and meet your younger self and actually ask yourself, what would you do or what would you say to that person? Well, there is a movie that explores that sort of concept. It's called The Adam Project. And it's going to star Ryan Reynolds, co-starring as well is Mark Ruffalo as his daddy. And it's going to be produced by Skydance with partnership with Netflix as well. And it has Ryan Reynolds starring as a man who travels back in time to get help from his 13-year-old self. Pretty cool synopsis. I mean, this is kind of like taking Back to the Future, you know, but maybe not try to copy that sort of storyline, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it is Back to the Future, but maybe a tad bit more serious.
A little bit more deep also. And
yes.
Something that doesn't cause plot holes like the way Back to the Future usually does.
I see what, at first I was like, why would Mark Ruffalo play Ryan Reynolds' dad? It does not really work. They're kind of close in age in real life. They're not that much older. Even though Mark Ruffalo has that, more gruffier face, so they can easily age him up, maybe even 5-10 years, and that kind of could work as, how becoming his father.
Yeah.
However, but now that I'm reading the actual story, the entire premises, I was like, that's interesting. Time travel. Netflix is really dipping its toes in crazy stories. Yes, we know that they usually go experimental, but I haven't seen big names such as Ryan Reynolds and Mark Ruffalo, etc., go or delve into something this kind of weird-ish experimental.
Yeah.
When it comes to experimental, either it's very indie or it is comedy, like those weird movies, like what is it called? Hot Tub Machine, was it? The one where they go back into that's kind of comedy.
Dark take on it,
A dark comedy kind of, very slapstick kind of comedy, or like we said, something that is super indie, like The Lobster or whatnot. So it's very interesting to see those big names, and I'm super excited for this one because, again, Netflix, and we know that Netflix is not always, sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss, but regardless, it's Mark Ruffalo, who is amazing. He's fantastic, and Ryan Reynolds have been having a lot of misses, kind of. He's been playing around.
Underground 6 from Netflix.
And even Free Guy doesn't seem that interesting.
Wait. Let's give it...
Timmy.
Let's give it benefit of the doubt for now.
I am, but for now, I'm just not that interested in it. I don't feel like something is pulling me into it. I will watch it, but I'm not that interested as this movie has, grabbed my attention.
But I'm sure you're interested for Deadpool 3.
Obviously, no, Deadpool is different. Deadpool is on a different kind of arena, so we cannot really compare, Free Guy and Underground 6 with Deadpool. So yeah, I'm super excited for this movie. Gonna be coming out whenever it's coming out because, Netflix and also the pandemic, so a lot of things have been slowing down.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna be waiting for the trailer whenever that comes up.
The movie's called The Adam Project.
The Adam Project.
And this is just, I think, a line of movies and all sorts of content that Netflix is planning out years ahead of time. So, but until then, we'll definitely keep an eye on any possible details or updates for this movie. Another movie that seems to be somewhat, under the radar. It's being developed, but sort of not. I think you guys know what it is. Final Destination.
Final Destination. Don't get me started. Do not get me started on that. But we're gonna get started coming up next after this short break.
Pulse 95.
Final Destination. Why?
Why not?
No, I think we've had enough of them.
You're right. But
that's my question.
But
Why?
then again, this is Hollywood. This is the sequelitis situation where if it makes money, it's gonna come back.
But are you sure it's gonna make money? Especially, well, one, we've had 5 of them so far, right?
Yeah, they kind of all repeat the same story.
We've already established a whole cult following behind it. We already know, if anybody's driving down the highway and they see a big truck, you're like, oh, it's a Final Destination moment, Final Destination scene. So there is a cult thing going on. We're good. Do we need to add to it? I don't think so. I think we're good to go. I don't understand why they're trying to continue the series.
Here's the thing. A while back, the creator himself, Jeffrey Riddick, has went on record saying that there is a new Final Destination movie in the works. But because of radio silence, people have been kind of bringing it up to him back on Twitter. It's like, is this franchise over for good? And he's reassuring people. He went on to tweet, it's not over. They were developing another Final Destination until the COVID hit. They'll pick it back up once the business starts back up as well. But then again, that's kind of vague. Is it let's say a production that could fall apart at any moment? Because when he says business picks up, that could mean, they probably don't have the money now and they're waiting on a couple of, producers to step in to help with the production.
Just the entire COVID-19 pandemic thing just slowing down production in general. That could be like people possibly putting the project aside, which should indicate as how I'm really sorry to the creators. But I think it just shows that it's not as important as it used to be. It had a whole massive impact in the early mid-2000s. It had, Khalas had a beautiful finish, whatever the finish was, because to me the movie was very repetitive. But to each their own.
Creative death, though. That's the thing about Final Destination.
Exactly. But khalas, I feel like we've reached a point where perhaps that creator should go and delve into other projects besides Final Destination. So I really don't see the reason why there should be another installment of a movie, especially when it comes to those horror movies. They should know when to stop. They don't usually, but they should know.
If a Final Destination trailer comes out, just know somewhere in the world, Aisha will be internally sighing, just like, ugh.
But I won't be internally. It's going to be very vocal about it. It's going to be very open about it. And you guys will hear it here on the Afternoon Karak. Again, no hate to the creators or the franchise itself.
Just let it die.
Just let it die.
Let it have its final destination.
Love that. We have the sports headlines coming up. And we're going to continue our conversation with a rumor because we love talking about rumors right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it.
Now, it's no rumor that Amazon is working on a Lord of the Rings MMO RPG game, a massive online game, but we don't know anything about it. All we know is that the studios is partnered up with Leo Technologies to develop this ambitious project. But recently, Leo Technologies was acquired by Tencent. And as part of this acquisition, a bunch of the legal documents were released for inspection, and there was some really interesting information that came up about the MMO Lord of the Rings. And some of it includes really interesting information, something called the Project Austin Co-Development and Co-Operation Agreement that includes an entire section about milestones, goals that they want to fulfill for this game, such as drawing up, that was actually drawn up back in 2009. It stipulated that they were going to have a closed beta on PC set for September 22, and then they were going to also have an open beta set for January 2023. That is still a milestone. It's something that they hope to achieve, but that doesn't mean that it's set on stone that, the Lord of the Rings MMO will be coming out sometime in 2023. All we know is that it could be released anytime around 2023 and beyond.
It makes sense that they're only just putting milestones. That's honestly, I'd say that is very realistic of them rather than saying, we're going to hit this, because you don't know what's going to happen within the next couple of months. We can take Cyberpunk 2077 as an example. We can take even Animal Crossing as an example that was supposed to come out all the way last year in 2019 in the summer, but it was pushed back. And then you see a lot of games that were not polished enough that get released and they become problematic because all the fans become really upset. And Lord of the Rings, we've been talking about it since yesterday, how we're hoping that this would be a restart to the entire franchise, where kind of a reboot, kind of a soft reboot, not to the actual story, but to getting it back up there, back into, back to popular culture, which it already is.
But just
up there, like literally back up there.
We just want more Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. So this would be really nice, nice touch, especially in MMO, and it requires a lot of work. So I like the fact that they're being very realistic and saying that, hey, this might be done. We would love to hit these milestones. They might be lucky and it might be even earlier, but honestly, having those milestones are super important and also super smart. Coming up next is something super fun, and I think Mikhail's gonna enjoy this one. It's about a board game, a video game that has a board game in it, and that board game is gonna be being well real. And I think, Mikhail, when you get, we played that part, have you?
Yes.
And you know it's fun.
It is very
It's
much.
super fun. We're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla and a game within the game itself coming up next, so stay tuned.
This is Pulse 95.
The reason why I was so excited and talking about this before the break is because, well, Mikhail and I are big fans of card games and board games and have been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So don't worry, the review is going to come just as promised. But one of the most, exciting things about the game itself was the social aspect that I was super excited about when I first heard about the game and we were reading about what the game is going to be constituting of. And one of the parts of the social aspect of Assassin's Creed Valhalla was Orlog. And it is a board game that feels very, very realistic. And I thought it was, perhaps inspired by some sort of Viking board game. Apparently, it is somewhat inspired by a dice game.
Yeah.
Somewhat, because they do have evidence that the Vikings did play some sort of dice game, but it's completely Ubisoft's creation. And now it is getting, the superstar treatment, and it's going to be completely turned into an actual physical board game.
Orlog was surprisingly addicting when I first played. It was just a mini game. The thing is, mini games in the open world is either it's half-baked or uninspiring or unoriginal. You just kind of move on to the next thing. But when you sit for more than your expected time limit, you're sitting half an hour still playing, challenging a villager or someone at a pub.
Yeah.
You realize, okay, this is more than you really, went in for.
Yeah.
And Orlog is a game where basically you have like 15 points, health points, and basically reflected with stones, and you have 5 dices, you roll them, and the dice could be attack, range, steal, and block.
And different versions of blocking and different versions of attacks. So they take those into consideration as well.
Yeah, and then you take those dices and then you put them out into sort of like a battleground, and whatever combination you're hoping to do is to try to deal as much damage and as well try to block as much damage from your opponent. The one who loses all their 15 stones is the one who loses. And the fact that this is getting a physical board game, as a person who's slowly gone into, card game, board games, dices and such, I actually will be buying this. I need to get this.
It is a really good game. It's quite refined.
Yeah, it's a bit of chance, a bit of strategy, and a bit of that, just that bit of, as the game has it, called the God's Favor, which is that really special luck. I don't know how they're going to actually put that in the physical form, where in the game it's just sort of like a perk that you get, but in real life, I think they're going to change it up. They're going to give you like a...
Really, I think they're going to stick to the rules because, like I said, it's well refined. It can be easily taken from the game itself and turned into a board game. And it shows because the game is going to be coming out in 2021. So I think they've already started, creating it, and everything is set to go out very soon. So, yeah, I'm actually going to disagree with you over here and say no, that I think they're going to stick to whatever they have in-game, especially since if you've played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you'd have gotten used to it. So it would be very nice to take that aspect, and instead of playing with the, NPC or the CPU itself, you're playing with a friend instead. So I'm just interested. Will they make it multiplayer in the sense that are they going to have more than 2 players play it? And that might change the mechanics a little bit. Maybe a tiny bit, but I think it is well suited for either, 1 versus 1 or even more than that. So it's a very interesting game, guys. If you haven't played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I would suggest to check it out simply because of the social aspects, including Orlog, or at least look it up and see people playing it online. We're not done talking to you over here on the Afternoon Karak. We've got a lot more to talk about, and another movie starring Neil Patrick Harris. So stay tuned for that.
This is Pulse 95.
So a while back, we spoke about Nicolas Cage, and we've been talking about Nicolas Cage throughout the year, really. But random things here and there, whether it's Ghost Rider or even him making a comeback with a weird movie, an action satire called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I love it. Just the title.
The story.
They're just showing off.
The story, if anybody doesn't know, it's a movie about Nicolas Cage, hopefully starring as Nicolas Cage. It feels like it's not been done before, which is what makes it so unique.
Yeah.
And it's about Nicolas Cage. This actor has quite the legacy when it comes to his career, his movies, and some of the roles he's played. Some good, some absurdly weird, and some quite memorable.
I agree with you.
We have one guy coming in for the production of it. Is Neil Patrick Harris will be joining in on the fun with Lionsgate, Nicolas Cage action satire. The movie's called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
He's going to be joining Pedro Pascal and Tiffany Haddish and Sharon Horgan. So, the cast is pretty good.
They're going full satire.
Oh, they are. I'm excited for this one. We haven't had those sort of, satirical movies with big names for quite a while now. So I'm down with this one, especially Nicolas Cage. I'm all here for the comeback of all our, favorite mid-2000 heroes. Brendan Fraser and Doom Patrol just made me so excited.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe seeing Nicolas Cage is going to bring out, that teenagers to watch him back on NBC2. Going to be taking one last break, and then we'll be back with Aisha and Mikhail Suggest with an interesting and super helpful suggestion from Mikhail himself. Last time he was angry. This time, not so much, hopefully. Just kinda there. He's giving you some good advice. So stay tuned for that and much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
It's almost 5 p.m.
That was Afternoon Karak.
For dessert,
Aisha and Mikhail suggest...
Usually the weekend before Thanksgiving in the United States is the weekend that, there's crazy sales everywhere. And a lot of shops here in the UAE and across the Middle East have also adopted that as well, where they give out some crazy deals, whether it's called Black Friday or White Friday. And so even though Black Friday has already ended, it was last Friday, and potentially even something's going to be happening throughout the entire week sometimes. They extend some of those promotions. But Mikhail has a suggestion and an advice for all of you.
Now, this whole consumer behavior stuff, marketers really are smart with trying to indoctrinate you with the White Friday, the Yellow Friday, the Black Friday, the Friday, and
Friday.
just sort of like feed into your impulse into buying something that has a great deal. But that's the thing. Are you actually getting a great deal for what you're paying for? If you're checking, for example, just one place and getting something like a 30% discount, and you think, oh, that's it, I'm buying now. Hold on that buy now button, and please do start comparing the prices with other online stores, other outlets before you make your purchase, because you might wind up regretting it. Really. And that is my suggestion.
And also, I would say a kind of a counter suggestion. Sometimes, after you've done your research, quickly go and buy it. Do not just put it on your card. And I'm saying this as a person who has done it so many times. Do not do that. Do not be like me. Put on your card, then forget about it. When you're doing shopping, online shopping, have your list, have everything you want to buy. Do your research and then buy it instantly. Be efficient, be quick, and you're going to get everything to your heart's content. And just like Mikhail, you will not fall into, the black hole. Or no, I call it what is the thing? The rabbit hole.
The consumer rabbit hole.
The consumer rabbit hole. Thank you so much for reminding me of the word. And with that, we end our hour right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Oh, yes. We want to wish you guys a fantastic day. And if you missed out on any of our episodes, you can tune into our YouTube at Pulse 95 Radio or Afternoon Karak, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Yes, and also wanted to give a shout out to Rania from the Morning Majlis, who is actually tuning into us. If you guys are morning birds, tune into the Morning Majlis. They will keep you company from 7 a.m. all the way till 10 a.m. But if you guys want to have, want to chill, want some entertainment and cool things, we've got Yalla Home at Schofield Big House, keeping you company from 5 p.m. all the way till 8 p.m. only here on Pulse 95.
if you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.